Today we'll be studying about the second part or the second unit, different subject, that is taxation or direct tax, we can call for it. So direct tax and taxation are the important source of revenue for the government. The taxation what we are studying is a combination of both problematic and the theoretical part. So for our syllabus, you might have gone through the syllabus also. What we are going to study, like we are going to study the basics of tax, right? Basic definition, basic meaning of tax. Then we will be studying about the different things like income from salary, house property, capital gains, business and profession, right? Different heads of income in detail, problematic part as well as theory. We are going to study. So as we know, the taxation is the important source of revenue for the government, as government also need to pay for the government expenditures, so they require revenue to pay this all expenditures. So what they do is they collect revenue from the government, right, from the public, by collecting the taxes on the different things. Out of that, there are two prominent important kinds of taxes. First is the direct tax, and second is the indirect taxes. And the revenue what government is collecting, majorly it is used for defense purpose, it is used for the development purpose, it is used for construction purpose. So for different aspect in the country, the revenue from the tax what has been collected will be utilized by the government. Like for example, the government want to do a construction of a bridge or a dam, right, and it wants to construct hospitals, or it want to pay for the government staff salaries. So for all those expenditure, from where the government will get funds? The government will get the funds by the revenue which we call as tax. It is a very, very, very important source of revenue for the government. So similarly, as I have told you, the tax is broadly classified into two types. First is direct tax and second is indirect tax. The direct tax is that tax which is borne and paid directly by a single person or a person on whom it is implemented. Suppose a tax is implemented on some person, only he has to pay a tax. He cannot shift the burden of tax to somebody else, because this kind of a tax are those which are not shifted. Alone, a single person has to bear the burden of a tax. So such type of a tax are direct tax. In India, we call that as either a income tax, or even we call that as the wealth tax. So that is a direct tax. Then similarly, there were some other types of tax also which has been removed from Indian tax system. Now currently the income tax and wealth tax are two important source of revenue from the direct tax. The second type of a tax is indirect taxes. Indirect taxes are those where the revenue is collected by one person, collected from one person, but it is shifted to some other person. The burden of the tax will be shifted to some other person. So this, the burden will be shifted, can be shifted to some number of people. Like sales tax was there, VAT was there, right? Different types of tax were there before implementation of GST. But currently, there is only one prominent indirect tax. We call it as goods and service tax, GST. But there are some other types of taxes apart from GST also, like excise duty is there, like custom duty is there, right? Excise tax, what we call, that is also a indirect tax. It is, the burden will be there on manufacturer, but manufacturer alone will not bear that burden. What he will do, he will shift the burden of tax to the wholesalers, distributors. From there it will pass on to the customers. So such kind of tax are indirect taxes, right? So now, as for our syllabus, we are going to study about Income Tax Act 1961, right? How income tax has came, in what phrases the income tax came in India. Those all things we'll study about history of tax and different definitions. See, Income tax was first introduced in India in 1860 by the British rulers James Wilson, who become first India's finance member. Right, he started the theory of income tax, but there was no intention behind starting a legal kind of tax, but it was started for a temporary measures. When James Wilson, he thought that the Britishers government, they were lacking in funds. There was shortage of funds with the government because the Britishers were fighting continuously with the Indian freedom fighters. So there were shortage of funds. To overcome this situation, what this James Wilson did is he started to implement the tax. He started to collect revenue from the Indians or in farmers, laborers. So from the peoples in India, he started to collect a tax. In those days, the name tax was not there. In India, they used to call it as a lagan, right? They were collecting revenue from the people. Then later on, India's first freedom movement of 1870, when it happened, the history of income tax in India can be divided in three phases. Right, first is 1860 to 1885, where Britishers were ruling. They were collecting the revenue. They were utilizing the revenue for their own purposes. So that was one phase. Then 1886 to 1914, that was one phase again, and third was 1914 to till date. So whatever is happening is the third phase of the revenue, right? At present, the Indian income tax 1961 is in force in India, right? 1961, whatever it happened, changes Indian government did after independence, those same things are being still followed, but slightly changes government has did. The present Income Tax Act was enacted in 1961, right, which was totally changed, modified in 1961, which came into force in 1st April 1962. In 1956, the government referred the Income Tax Act of the Law Commission, which submitted the report in 1958. Direct Tax Administration Enquiry Commission was appointed in 1990. Actually, it should be 1958. One more nine is more here. It should be 1958 under the chairmanship of Shri Mahavir Tyagi. On the basis of recommendation of both these bodies, the present IT was enacted, which means it was formed, right? Okay, now what are the sources of Indian income tax? For everything you can find as sources, right? Like when you prepare some report or when you prepare some project, you'll be collecting different kind of sources. Like in statistic, we can call as the primary source of collection of a data are like primary data and secondary data, right? Either you can collect the data for the first time, primary data what you call, or you can go with the secondary data, the data which has been already been collected by someone, published at some place. Same data you are utilizing it, analyzing it, interpreting and communicating the result, right? Similarly here, what we are doing is the government, they collected the sources, or Indian income tax law in the tax was collected from different places. First was Income Tax Act 1961, right? The 1961 whatever rules was applicable, those all things have been continued, right? Those all things are been continued. This was the first source, which means whatever Britishers have been there, done in the income tax, same things, some of the same things have been continued. Then Annual Financial Act, right? So the Financial Act, yearly they were preparing it. So if depending on the development of a country, if any changes they wanted, they were doing it. So depending on Annual Financial Act report, the sources have been collected in the Income Tax Act. Similarly, Income Tax Rule 1962. So they passed a rule about income tax. Like we have a different rule in India. For each and every law, we have a rules, right? For driving, we have a rules, right? For college, for different purposes, there are some rules. Similarly, for income tax, they passed some rule, that is 1962 rules, and that is also a prominent important source of income tax law. Then CBDT, that is Central Board of Direct Taxes. Central Board of Direct Taxes was formed, and they also recommended some of the rules, or they also said some of the sources. They gave some sources of law for the CBDT. Then judicial decision. So judicial decision are those which will be passed in the court, right? Either High Court or Supreme Court. There are some things which are not covered in law, right? Everything is, we can't say that everything is covered. Day after day, year after year, when some changes will happen, modernization will happen. So the court will observe the situation, and by judicial decision in either a High Court or a Supreme Court, there will be some changes, modification in the rules and regulations, or there will be some changes in the law in India. So the judicial decision by the court was also being done. So these are the prominent 5 important sources of the law which we have collected in our Indian income tax. That is in Income Tax Act 1961, Annual Financial Act which has been collected, Income Tax Rule 1962, Central Board of Direct Taxes, and then judicial decision, right? Then the scheme of income tax, how you calculate the income tax. First of all, the person who is calculating, they have to determine his residential status, whether that person whose income you are assessing or calculating, what kind of residential status he is having, right? What kind of residential status, whether he is a resident Indian, whether he is non-resident Indian, or whether he is not ordinarily resident, right? So when you assess this, then the different type of tax will be levied on you. Resident will not have the same tax what NRI will be having, non-resident Indian will be having. So first job is to determine the residential status of an assessee, whose tax you are calculating, right? His residential status you have to calculate. This is the first scheme of income tax. After assessing the residential status, the next thing what you have to do is total income calculation. The only one head of income, if you consider, that is not correct, right? The income tax says that all the income of a person has to be calculated, whether it is salary, house property, business and profession, capital gains, or any other sources income is there. So his total income need to be calculated. That is what we call as GTI, gross total income. Now let us see some of the definition of the important definition of income tax. What are those? First is income tax. What is income tax? Tax collected by the central government for each financial year on the total taxable income of an assessee earned during the previous year is called as income tax. So whatever tax collected by a government, generally we call it as a central government. So whatever tax is collected by the central government on the income earned during the financial, for each financial year which you earn in your previous year, that is your income tax. Tax on your income in simple is income tax. Then assessee. Who is the assessee? Is everybody assessee? No. So it is said in according to Indian Income Tax Act 1961, section 2, subsection 7, assessee means a person who is liable to pay a tax is called as an assessee. So there are various person. A person liable to pay any tax or any other sum of money under this act. If you are liable to pay tax in the financial year, you will be called as assessee, irrespective of the gender, irrespective of education qualification or business or a profession, anything you're doing. If you are liable to pay tax in India, you will be called as assessee. This is the first rule which is said in section 2, subsection 7. Second rule is every person in respect of whom any proceeding under this act has been taken for the assessment of his income, loss sustained by him, the amount of refund due to him. Right? If you are calculating your income and the proceeding has been done, why? For the assessment of your income, for the refund of your tax, or for the loss if you have suffered anything. So even in that situation also a person is called as assessee. Similarly, every person in respect of whom any proceeding has been taken under this act, okay, so this is again repeated, a person who is deemed to be an assessee under any provision of this act, right? He is deemed to be assessee. He is not the assessee currently, but deemed to be means he would become assessee. There are some future contracts. The outstanding contracts are there, future contracts are there. So those contracts are going to happen in future, in near future date. In near future date means in a few months it will happen. So you are about to become a assessee because you are liable to pay a tax, and you will be called as deemed assessee. a person who is deemed to be an assessee in default under the provision of this act, right? Compulsorily you will become an assessee in this situation. So these all people will be treated as assessee as per section 2 subsection 7. Then what do we mean by assessment? It is the process of determining the correctness of an income of an assessee and of assessing the amount of tax payable by him and proceeding for imposing the tax liability. Right? Assessment is nothing but is a process. How much is your income and how much you are liable to pay a tax to the government is called as assessment. Your total income, let us take, is 10 lakh for a year, and out of 10 lakh, now first part is over. You have calculated the total income of an assessee. After that, how much tax a person is liable to pay to the government, those all things is called as assessment, right? Assessment. The financial data is used. The bookkeepers who will record the P&L account or income statements, they will tell you about net profit. After knowing the net profit and after studying the balance sheet, the person will come to know that this is his total income. On the total income, this much of tax he is liable to pay. So that particular thing is called as assessment. Now there are 2 years in income tax. We generally hear about this. First is assessment year. Second is previous year. Assessment year is a period of 12 months. Now in the pandemic situation like this, in the current, the assessment year again may be increased or decreased. But generally an assessment year is of 12 months, commencing of 1st of April and ending on 31st of March. So it will commence on 31st of April and end on 31st of March. It is a year in which the income of the previous year is to be assessed. So in this assessment year, the income what you earned in the previous year will be calculated, right? Will be calculated. The current assessment year is 2020-21. This is the current assessment year. So in 2021, you will calculate the income what you earned in 1920. So that means the previous year means the financial year. The back year, which means 2021 is assessment year, 1920 is the previous year. You can see the picture below. 1419 and it ends on 31st-3-2020. So this is the previous year, current previous year, 2019-20. Assessment year is 2020-21. It starts on 1/4/2020 and ends on 31st-3/2021. So this is the assessment year. Now the persons who are liable to pay a tax, as per section 2 subsection 31 of Indian Income Tax Act of 1961, has given the definition of a person. Who is a person? We call in general, person means one living organism or one person who either a male or a female, we call him as a person. But as per Income Tax Act, a person includes first of all an individual, a sole trader. He is called as a person. He is doing business, he is earning some income, he is liable to pay a tax to the government. He is a person. Second is Hindu undivided family. If any family is there which has been started by the forefathers who are doing a business, they are registered as Hindu undivided family and they are also liable to pay a tax. They are also treated as person. Third is a company. Company, though this is an artificial person, though they can company cannot do anything by its own, because company has perpetual session. It is also a perpetual session, artificial association of a person. Company is also treated as a person. Company, if they are earning any income, they are also liable to pay a tax. Similarly, a firm, a partnership firm, 2 or more person, they are doing a partnership firm. If they are also liable to pay a tax because they are also a person in the eyes of law. An association of a person or a body of individual, a group of a person or a body of an individual, they have started for some objective, they are also treated as person in the eyes of law. Then a local authorities, even a municipal corporation, they have to pay a tax. Water board, municipal corporation, and different types of local authorities, they have to pay a tax to the government. Every artificial judicial person not included in the above. Artificial and judicial person, even some types like courts are also included. Even they are getting, if they are getting any revenue out of the cases courts, they are also have to pay a tax to the government, right? So these all are the persons who are liable to pay a tax if they are getting any revenue in the previous year, right? Now, what do you mean by income? Income generally means earnings, what you do, or we can call even as the profits in simple. But income, it includes, it has said in section 2, subsection 24, it is something which is included in the terms of summary or an important rule given in the meaning, we can see in the below. And illegal income is taxable as illegal income. If anybody is getting an illegal income, it is not treated as a legal income. It will not be converted into legal income if he pays a tax. So it will be treated as illegal income only. Income received at regular intervals is taxable. If any income anybody is receiving at regular intervals, right? Like if he is getting a salary regularly, right? If he is getting any commission regularly, a rent regularly, so that is also treated as income and you are taxable on it. Taxable income should not have been received from any outside sources, right? If you are getting any income, it should be covered under the 5 heads of income tax. If it is not covered under that, then either it may be some other kind of tax, maybe it is a wealth tax, or maybe it is some indirect taxes. So whatever 5 heads have been specified by the government to call it as an income, it should be covered under that 5 heads. Then any benefit convertible into money is also considered as income. So if you are getting any benefit which is converted into money, it is not in form of money. Income generally, that doesn't mean that you should get in cash or bank balance. You are getting cash, that is income, no doubt it is an income. But sometimes you don't get in form of cash. Sometimes you don't get in form of money. But you may be getting in form of debtors. You may be getting in form of debtors. You got an income, that is a debtors. In future you will be receiving money, but that is the income. It doesn't mean that cash actually you should have in your hand. No, income can be in cash, or even it can be others outside the sources also. Then mere relief or reimbursement of expenses is not treated as income. So if you are getting any reimbursement of income, reimbursement of expenses, that is not a income. You have done so much of expenses, right? So much of expenses in advance. Now after doing expenses, you have got all refund from the government, refund from the party, reimbursement from the party. That refund or reimbursement is not an income, that is the return what you have got for your expenses what you have done. Then similarly gift. So for the gift, they have told a rule: if you are getting a gift exceeding 50,000 received without consideration by an individual from any person on or after 1/4/2004 is considered as an income. So before that, gift was exempted, but from 1/9/2004, it is considered as an income only if it is exceeding 50,000. Right? It is exceeding 50,000. Somebody will give you a gift which is below 50,000. That is not an income, right? But remember, this gift should be purely without consideration. Purely without consideration. If you are giving anything in return and getting that particular thing, that is not again treated as gift. So purely without consideration, and it should exceed above 50,000. Then only we can call it as income. Any prices which is expected is not treated as income. So here any prices if any is getting which is not totally unexpected, so there it is not treated as a income. Income arising from wasting assets by way of royalty is treated as income. So if you are getting any royalty, right, wages kind of things, royalty kind of things, so even that is also treated as income. Casual incomes are also taxable. You are not getting regular income, casual income, which means once in the year you will be getting income. Even if you get regular income or you get casual income, all the types of incomes are also taxable, right? Only thing you have to remember is gift is not taxable unless gift, if it is above 50,000 rupees, and the gift should be without consideration. In that case, gift is taxable. So what do you mean by gross total income? It is the total taxable income under all the 5 heads before making the deduction under section 80C to 80. When you do the total of all, when you add income from salary, house property, right, then business and profession, capital gain, other sources, these are the total five heads, right? When you add this total five heads, whatever total you are getting, right, so that is called as gross total income. This means before the deduction of, before the removal of deduction under section 80C to 80U, whatever summary or total you are getting, that is GTI or gross total income. Now total income means when you remove these deductions, whether LIC is there, mutual funds are there, or whichever deductions, medical insurance is there, right, or defense sector investment you have done, NSC you have purchased. So all deductions you will remove from 80C to 80U. After that, whatever income you have got, that particular income will be treated as total income. Casual income is that income which is unexpected and unforeseen. It is not received from regular source of income. It is non-recurring income, like winning from lotteries is there, crossword is there, puzzles is there, race, including horse race, etc. is there. So this income is also taxable. Remember, if you are getting a casual income by any source of things, whether it is a gambling is there, horse race is there, casino is there, any kind of income, you are not sure. If you are sure, then it becomes, again, it doesn't become casual income. If you are not sure, it becomes casual income. So that casual income is also unexpected income. So on that also you have to pay a tax. If anybody has got a lottery of 5 crore rupees, you doesn't mean that all 5 crore rupees he is going to get. No. Out of 5 crore rupees, whatever tax is there, maybe it is some flat rate 30% tax they will charge. So 5 crores is there, 30% flat tax, first of all, they will take. Out of that, surcharges, depending on the amount, education cess, maybe 3% something, right? And then after that, they are going to remove those all thing, and whatever amount is remained, refunded to the owner.